Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters. Forced into early retirement by a degenerative illness, former baseball player Ray Waller moves into a new house with his wife and two children. He hopes that the backyard swimming pool will be fun for the kids and provide some physical therapy for himself. However, a dark secret from the home's past soon unleashes a malevolent force that drags the family into the depths of an inexplicable terror. Yes, folks, this is our raw reaction review for Night Swim. Well, Luke, it's January and it's a new year. 2024 is upon us, and we've had some fun over the last few days. We've released a top 10 of 2023. I've talked about some Mickey Mouse stuff. We had the Omen trailer. Everything's been looking pretty positive, I would say, on the horror front. So I gotta say, I was pretty excited to go in and check out Night Swim. How are you feeling?
I was excited for it. I was a big fan of the short, and I
Hmm.
was excited to see how they were going to expand upon it. And yeah, so I went in, not necessarily positive, but very intrigued.
Yeah, no, and to talk a little bit about that, this film comes from Bryce McGuire, who kind of got his start here with the short film, as you said. It was about a 5 minute short in 2014 that he co-wrote with his buddy Rob Blackhurst, and it got some reasonable fanfare online. People seem to really like it, but it did catch the eye of James Wan. So we have a little bit of a lights out situation going on here, and I think that was the biggest selling point for me. I really enjoyed Lights Out, and I just kind of trust that whole process of like having somebody who makes a short and then they get a chance to bring it up to the big leagues and really see what this idea could be and how they could expand upon it. So, with that being said, I think that although Lights Out worked really well expanding upon that lore, and I think definitely gave us a very unique take. I think that the best thing that I can say about Night Swim here is that some short films should just remain short films because I don't think this movie had as many legs or very much momentum that I think anybody was hoping for behind the scenes.
No, I don't think so either. I know you mentioned Lights Out, and you look at that, and you look at that grain of an idea, and you expand upon it. You expand upon the lore, and I think it feels natural. It feels organic. Whereas this one, it's you could have went anywhere with this one, but I think I'll be honest. I looked at there's a Bloody Disgusting article out there that had mentioned, they were diving into the folklore of communities worshiping water, things like that, and I was like, well, okay, well, I'm curious to see really where they're going to go with this. And unfortunately, I think this one it's very formulaic. It's nothing new, it's nothing original. I think when you look at it, they were so focused on the swimming pool in a sense, that it really didn't want to expand upon that lore. I think you could have. I think that was a great grain of an idea. The short is phenomenal. I think really builds that tension, and that's what I was kind of expecting here. I thought maybe they would be able to turn that into an hour and a half. Unfortunately, they didn't. I think they really kind of secluded themselves to that pool, and it really did hurt the film.
Yeah, that was a big issue of mine was the fact that it took so long for us to really get any deeper into the lore. And I gotta say, for a film that, once you kind of get into it, you kind of realize, okay, this is going to very much rely on quick jump scares, kind of, trying to ratchet that tension and then release it. I just felt like the scares themselves were really just devoid of anything unique. They really just came down to it's a spooky looking guy or, some hand coming up out of the water. It just didn't really offer anything interesting for what that short kind of pitched. Like the short has a very interesting, concept there as far as just like she's under the water and she sees a shadow above her. It's like, that there's interest there, but it feels like they never really knew where to go beyond just that grain. It feels like everything else was really just, well, we've seen this done in a few other movies, so let's just do this because that worked. And that's just a terrible way to present your film.
And that lore that's established in a short film being so small and so open ended, it really gave you a lot of room to play. But I felt like they really didn't take advantage of that in any sense. And it really just, again, when you talk about jump scares and things like that, for me, at least, I could have looked back on it if we had some decent jump scares. This thing, and it has nothing to do with PG-13. There are a
No.
lot of films out there that I think, really knock it out of the park, and it's a horror film that's PG-13. Unfortunately, this one really light on terror, I think, as well. There isn't a lot of jump scares in this thing either. It's a lot of story, and again, it's a lot of formulaic story. Even when you open up with kind of getting a taste, they do pay tribute, I think, a little more in that cold open to what the original short film was. But then after that, we really get into that cookie cutter, run of the mill storytelling, and it doesn't really offer anything new. It really felt like that the pace was very slow for me. And again, this is about an hour 30, hour 35. I leaned over at one point and said, I feel like this has been 2 hours, and it was only an hour in.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on the pace. I was pretty much ready to rock and roll and get out of there. Within the when we had about 40 minutes left in the movie, I was just like, I'm done. Yeah, once we really got to one pivotal scene where they kind of really explained sort of what's going on or what's believed to be going on, I was checked out. I was like, okay, this is really what we're doing. Like, it's something that I think like I kind of took for granted, and I made a little bit of a joke about it as we walked out of the theater, where I was just like, I should have really looked at this as like, yeah, this is a film about a haunted swimming pool, and like for some reason, I guess my brain just I saw the writing on the wall as far as just like it's produced by James Wan. It's which isn't always a seal of something amazing, but I get again I kind of bought into that lights out setup where it's just like yeah, like we're gonna get somebody an up and coming filmmaker here, which I still think like it's very competently shot. There is some interesting camera work here. I think the CG is pretty poor. I would say throughout the entire film, there's a lot of really laughable moments with the water that just looks like a Neil Breen film. Like there's one involving a glass. It just looks so fake. It looks like something I would get off of our, assets here and stuff like that, and put into our videos when it's like it's just supposed to be goofy and cheap. I I just really found it hard to find a lot of real big positives in this film, and that's the hardest thing for me to sit here and talk about it because it's like I just really don't have much positive to say.
Yeah, and for me, yes, I think the camera work was fine, but again, I think it falls back into nothing really wowed me. It falls back into that run of the mill kind of standard what we've been seeing. So it's nothing that I don't think I caught myself sitting back saying, "Oh wow, that was great camera work." And again, it's nothing bad. It's just kind of it's just there. It's something that we've seen. It falls into that formulaic kind of horror that we've seen. And yeah, when you go back to this is a film about a swimming pool. It's always you can take that concept and it's always like, oh, this is a film about a killer doll. It's what you make of it. When we go back a year ago and we went and saw Megan, and it's again a PG-13 film. It's we've seen Child's Play. What more can you do? I think that film was unique and different enough to say, okay, this is worthy of bringing to the big screen. And there's more here. And I think this one again didn't really have that unique voice, didn't really make use of the cast. I was excited to see Wyatt Russell in a sense, but I don't really think he wasn't bad or anything. It just he wasn't really given anything to do, I don't think.
Yeah, that was my last point that I really had on the film was that it's like there are moments where, Wyatt Russell shines through, like I think his potential shines through really well. And I would say that for the whole cast. I mean, like I think there's moments where they really do feel like a family. Like I think that Carrie Condon does a great job. She's the wife character. And it's like I think that I buy into their relationship, but then there's just a lot of moments, especially towards the end, where it really felt like people were just phoning in their performances. Like there is a reaction from Wyatt Russell's character towards the end of this film that just got a lot of chuckles in our theater because it's just so like lifeless of a delivery. It was just so like goofy. And yeah, I mean, like I think that this film really just it set itself up to be something unique, something cool, but at the end of the day, it just really became Amityville horror with, a swimming pool. And again, when you've had so many Amityville horror films, and you had so many films that have emulated that family dynamic where someone gets overtaken by a ghost or a spirit, it's like you're not playing with anything unique and fun here. It really just comes down to when is this going to end so I can walk out of the theater. So in my book, this is a slash it. I hate to start the year off this way, but I just really, again, this is not something I feel like I'm going to go back and watch, or it's not something I can really recommend.
Yeah, and when you look at that grain of an idea of that short film, again, it gives you so much room to play because it is so open-ended. It doesn't really establish too much lore. It's just a unique idea, a unique instance that is there to bring terror, and I think it efficiently works. It's something that I've thought about. I do go back to that short film and I watch it regularly. So I thought, we're going to get something fun here, so open-ended that we can get something unique and really bring a different kind of story here. They didn't do that here. They really stuck to that cookie cutter kind of formulaic, bare bones, basic concept, I think. And that was something where I tuned out rather, I mean, probably about 45 minutes in, to be honest. It was more so I'm waiting for the credits to roll. And then by the time we get to that conclusion, it falls absolutely flat. It's not really sold well. I think they thought maybe on paper it was going to have more meaning than it really did. But by that time, we're just waiting to get out of the theater. So for me, yeah, this one I'm right there with you. This is going to be a slash it for me. This isn't something I'm going to see again. I've had my fill, unfortunately. Bad start to our theater going experience in 2024.
Absolutely. Not the best, but alas, this is only one film. We got a whole year of films ahead of us, ones that we know of are coming and ones that we don't thus far. So I am still going to remain positive. I think that this just continues the Blumhouse trend of being very much in a pretty shabby state as we go forward. Like, I mean, they haven't really won with us since Totally Killer, which was what, September. So it's been a minute. So yeah, I definitely got to pull one out here soon, Blumhouse. But other than that, guys, we got a lot of great stuff on the channel. As I stated, we did do a top 10 of 2023. You guys can check that out. It's a full podcast episode for you. Really dive into all the things we loved and, all of our experiences through 2023 with horror films. And I did get a chance to talk about Mickey's Mousetrap and Steamboat Willie, the other big surprise thus far, coming into 2024, literally day one. Shit goes into the public domain and it gets turned into a horror movie. That's just the trend now. So other than that, guys, that's going to wrap it up here. So until next time, I am Dylan Newell.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, stay scared.